Hello and welcome to our Thursday Night Live program. I'm Jill Morikone, and we always love to spend these 2 hours with you. We get to showcase ministries or testimonies, hear what God is doing around the world. Thank you so much for being part of our 3ABN family. Know that we love you and that we pray for you. We have another family with us here tonight. This is the Evans family with Child Impact International. Before I introduce them, on July 30, this is just in a couple weeks, it is the World Day Against Human Trafficking. That's right, an entire day dedicated to raising awareness of the incredible, need that there is in this world to rescue people. Operation Child Rescue is a part of Child Impact International, and here at 3ABN we believe in the ministry of Child Impact. We believe in what they're doing around the world to rescue people and to prevent this from happening in the first place. So I'm excited about this program. I want to give a disclaimer. There are some sensitive topics that we'll be discussing this evening. So if you have young children in the home, maybe have them occupied with something else, because this topic of trafficking is a sensitive topic, but it's a needed topic because it needs to be addressed. I really believe that Child Impact is the foremost organization within the Seventh-day Adventist Church specifically dealing with this issue of human trafficking. So we have with us Dr. Tom Evans, who's the CEO of Child Impact International. And Dr. Tom, we're just so delighted to have you here tonight.
Thank you, and thank you for raising awareness of this important topic.
Absolutely. We're going to introduce your family, and then we'll talk just a little bit about this. Sitting next to you is your beautiful wife. I think this is the very first time, Mara, that you have been on a 3ABN program. You are a sponsor and a donor with Child Impact International.
Correct.
We're so glad you're here.
Thank you so much. So glad to be here.
And sitting at the end of the table here is Andre, one of your children. Andre Evans is an ambassador for Child Impact International. And how old are you, Andre?
I'm 17 years old.
And what sort of stuff do you like to do?
I really like music. Yeah.
What type of music?
I like playing the piano, playing the bass, playing the guitar, so a lot of praise music.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Very exciting. Maybe someday we'll get to hear some of your music. We'd like that. So, Dr. Tom, talk to us. Why is this such a huge need, human trafficking?
Well, first of all, the surprising statistic is that 52 million people are caught up in human trafficking, which would be really modern-day slavery, and that's the most individuals ever at any time in history that are enslaved. So this is a massive issue, and probably the most troubling statistic is that once an individual is taken in human trafficking, only 1 out of 100 ever escape. So I think the topic itself is important, and I often hear people say, it's so good to be aware. What we're trying to do at Child Impact is move awareness from awareness to action.
Yes.
To actually do something. It's interesting to be aware, but what difference will that really make? How many of us will actually see somebody trafficked and stop it, for example? It's possible because it happens, but mostly it's an underground crime that we usually don't see happening. And so I think it's very important to move awareness to action, and that's what we're trying to do with Child Impact.
Absolutely. What would be, give me a definition of trafficking. Is that sex trafficking, or what encompasses trafficking?
Sex trafficking probably is the largest financial side of, because the girls are sold over multiple times a day and over and over and over again. Very different than even drugs. Drugs you sell once and it's gone.
Right.
But these girls that are trafficked, and boys as well, get sold over and over multiple times daily. And so that's the sex trafficking side of things, but there are larger numbers that are actually labor trafficked.
Okay.
And so that also is a major issue. It involves children. One of our newest projects in Pakistan is actually working with the brick kilns where, let's say a man, his wife needs some kind of a surgery. He has no way to get the money, so he goes to the owner of the brick kiln, gets a loan, and that owner makes sure that he will never be able to pay that loan off. And so then the wife becomes abused, and the children also become enslaved. And so this will go on for years and years and years.
So they're forced to go to work?
Yes, it's indentured servitude. Okay. So it's really slavery because there's no way out. And so we've begun paying the debt for some of those individuals, especially those with children. so that they can find freedom, and we give them a home to live in and food to take care of them. So this is another type of trafficking as well.
That's heartbreaking. 52
For sure.
million.
52 million.
What countries would be the most involved?
70% of sex trafficking takes place in Asia.
Oof.
And so that's a huge portion of it. We work in Africa a lot, and of course there's a lot happening there. The tragedy is that a lot of this is funded from the United States.
Yes.
So that's really a lot of the United States involvement. Yet trafficking happens here as well. For example, the city of Chicago, approximately 14,000 girls disappear every year from the city of Chicago.
The city of Chicago,
Yes.
here in the United States.
Yes, just up the road here. Yeah, so that's a major issue there. We have a small project in South Chicago that we're working with. But yeah, it's a challenge here as well, but the numbers aren't as large. For me, the real difficulty at looking at this is the driving force for human trafficking in developing countries is poverty.
Yes.
And so
There's no way out.
the perpetrators prey on the financial needs or even just hunger
Right.
that families experience, and they give them false promises that end up landing in human trafficking.
Yeah, that makes sense. So tonight we're going to talk about this topic. We're going to talk about how we can go from awareness to action, how you can become involved in helping Child Impact and Operation Child Rescue. We'll talk about some of the projects that they're involved in, specifically a project in Zambia at Riverside Farm Institute. But first, we just want to talk to the Evans family. So talk to us about, Mara, why don't you tell us about your kids? And then you all were involved in some adoption. We want to talk about that too.
Yes. Well, we have 4 kids. I have 2 biological kids, and then we adopted 2 boys. Our younger son passed away with leukemia almost 3 months ago. So that was a hard time in our lives. But we love our kids, and they are 19, 17, and 15. Lucas, Andre, and Daniel. They're amazing kids. They're amazing boys. They love life. They love school, and you know, I love my boys.
And we're expecting 2 girls, but not biologically.
So before we get to the girls, let's
Yeah.
go back to Andres and
Yes.
the son who passed away. He was one of the ones you adopted.
Yes.
Is that right? So talk to
Yes,
us
the
first about the
youngest.
adoption process with those 2 boys, and then we'll talk a bit about Andres.
And we have a photo to go with it.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah. So this photo is at the airport. Was this the first visit, Mara, or maybe the second one?
I think that one was the second one because
Okay.
they have the backpacks that we got them.
That's true. Okay. So these are the 2 boys, Daniel and Andres.
Where are they from?
They are from the country of Latvia. Not many people have been there. It's
Yeah,
on the border
Latvia.
with Russia. And so the boys speak both Russian and Latvian. But Mara, when we went and picked them up at the airport, because we were hosting them,
Right.
you know, we weren't obligated to adopt them yet.
Who's this?
This is Andres.
Okay.
Yeah. So when we picked them up at the airport, they were a little nervous, but Andres was a little different.
Yes, we weren't expecting him to be different, right? And,
So lively.
Yes, so lively. And we expected, I think I expected Daniel, the older one, to be more composed and Andres a little bit more afraid.
Right.
Because he was the youngest, and it went the other way around, right? Andres was very excited. He had a balloon with him, and he went around hitting everybody in the head with that balloon.
And
just
laughing.
smiling and laughing and hitting everybody. He was just having the time of his life.
How old was he then?
5.
5, okay.
Yes, but his brother, Daniel,
It's totally
nervous
just
and
froze.
scared,
And
yes.
curled up on the floor in the airport, and we wondered how everybody else is leaving with their children that they're hosting, and we're wondering how are we going to get this boy home.
Yes.
So it was a
He
challenge.
was so scared. Yeah, which you can imagine a 7-year-old, different language. They didn't speak English,
Yes.
and now they're with a family, and that they never seen before, and they're gonna go to their house and stay. I can't not imagine letting my 7-year-old or 5-year-old to
Right.
go to a stranger's home
In a different
somewhere.
country.
Yeah, so it must be a terrifying. It was exciting, I'm sure, for them to learn that, you know, oh, do you want to going this trip. It must have been very exciting, but I think once they realized, what was happening, it got to be a little.
But they relaxed once they met our dogs.
Yes.
Yeah, as soon as the dogs welcomed them in our home, it was like total transformation. I believe.
Andres was relaxed the whole time.
Yeah, that's true. No, yeah. He was too relaxed.
Yes.
But the dogs, I believe in therapy. That pet therapy works because you could almost see them heal in front of our eyes as they interacted with the animals.
Yes. Yes, they were in love with the dogs.
Now you all have children, so what brought you to adopt more? Because some people say, well, you adopt if you can't have kids, but you all have kids, and you chose to adopt.
Yeah.
Why would that be?
When Mara and I were dating, she made a statement that I think scared the other guys away, that gave me a chance with her. She said she wanted to have 10 kids.
Oh.
And I'm like, wow, that's interesting. I didn't believe
Before
it could.
experience, right?
I didn't believe it could possibly be true, but she was not intending that those would all come biologically.
Right.
So yeah, that was not an issue for us, being able to have children.
Right.
But what was an issue for us is making a difference for kids who don't have families.
Yes.
And that's what really, that conviction that Mara had. And I'd been involved in ministry to kids before. I was a youth pastor as well. But that passion really became contagious for me as well. And so we basically found out about a program. Mara had wanted to adopt for a long time. And so we had our boys, and it was kind of a possibility at this time. And we met somebody who was hosting a young lady, a girl from the country of Latvia. And I said, my wife has always wanted to adopt. How does this work? What's this about? And she said, well, this is a program. It's called Project 143.
Okay.
So I think we have the website that we can give, p143.org.
Okay.
And so it's a tremendous program for hosting children where they come to your home as a cultural trip. There's no obligation, you have to adopt them.
Oh, nice.
But they are available to be adopted. And so they ask you to advocate. If you don't choose to adopt, you can advocate for them with your friends and family and so on.
So you don't have the pressure, like,
No.
they're coming here and I have to adopt. It's an experience for them to come,
cultural
and then
experience.
you can fall in love with them while they're there.
Oh, and that happened right away with these boys, of course. But they told us about this program, and then all the kids that come over, and it's not huge numbers, but all the kids that come over have a chaperone that looks after them, that can speak their language, check in with the families. They said, well, the chaperone needs a place to stay still this summer. Would you be open to having the chaperone in your home? So that became our introduction, and she was a young adult and still is our friend to this day. But the next winter hosting, we were ready. We were all in, and that's when we met them.
What did you think, Andre?
I loved it. Yeah, having more siblings, right? A lot more fun, playing outside, kicking the soccer ball. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. So you didn't adopt them then, right then? There's a long process in this adoption.
It's a process.
Okay.
I do want to share one story because for these kids, they grow up in an orphanage, and it's rough and tough, and life is very different than growing up in a home. And so some things, probably there's not an awareness of what's appropriate, what's not appropriate. Well, with Andres, my mom this was on our second time hosting. It was during the summer. My mom's sitting out, and the first day he's come back. And he was so excited. He never wanted to go back to Latvia. He wanted to just stay, and we wish we could have done that, but it's not how it worked.
Yeah.
So the first day arrived back, and my mom's sitting out in this lawn chair in the yard, in the backyard, taking in the sun. And all of a sudden, she jumps up, and she said, there's something warm on my back. And we saw Andres laughing and realized that he had
Behind her chair.
He had gone pee on her back. So that was totally unforgettable.
This is live.
Yeah, totally unforgettable. So we've remembered that, and at his memorial, we shared that story because it illustrates just Andres always was an adventure.
Yeah.
Always an adventure.
Yeah. And he's a little boy, of course, when that happened too, right?
Yes,
right?
he was
been trained,
6, I think, at the time.
Yeah, 6 when that happened. So we have another photo where we went to see them in Latvia.
Okay.
So that would be a fun one. So this is in Latvia. Andres is the smaller one there with Mara, and then Daniel is on my shoulders there. On this trip, we went to a zip line. It's called Tarzan's.
Okay.
And of course, something has to happen with Andres. And he gets stuck in the middle of the zip line.
Oh.
And this was a long one. And he doesn't know what to do. So one of our friends had to zip to him and slow down in time and then retrieve him. But there's always an adventure with Andres.
Yes, yes. Very brave.
Oh, yeah.
Very brave. You know, there's a little resistance to just go when you haven't gone before, especially as a little kid. Daniel was very careful, but Andres is like, oh, this is how it works. Oh, zoom, and there he goes.
Live life with abandon.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Did you
Amazing.
know anything about their past? Why they were orphaned, or do they not disclose any of that?
Once you start the adoption process, yes, that's disclosed. So maybe Mara can share a little bit about what we know.
Yeah, well, Andres and Daniel are brothers. They have the same mom, different dads. And mom had them very young, and she was almost like an orphan herself. Her mom, I think, died when she was 10. And, you know, her dad had a troubled life and got married again. So she grew up, you know, on her own and just doing whatever she wanted to do. And so she got pregnant, had a baby. She always loved her boys very much, but kind of like an aunt or a cousin, you know, not somebody that is able to take care of them. And so...
She was a teenage mom then.
Yeah,
yes,
very young.
yes. And she was given a lot of chances to keep the boys, but yeah, she's very immature. She's she loves them, but she has no ability to take care of them.
We just learned recently from the adoption attorney in Latvia that the police ended up showing up to the home because they found 2 boys in conditions that were not suitable for children to be raised in. And basically Daniel has been the protector of Andres as he grew up. Anybody mess with Andres, they had Daniel to mess with. And he packed a powerful punch. I mean,
That's
anyway,
why he wasn't so happy-go-lucky, because he had the responsibility of taking care of his brother.
very mature young man.
Yes.
And he relates very well with adults. And so he
Loves kids.
Yeah, he loves,
babies.
he would take care of babies, and we have one picture, or I think a video, where he's eating with one hand and feeding a baby with a bottle in the other hand in the orphanage.
Yes, yes. Just,
So he was
Loves
Andres's
babies.
protector.
Yeah.
yes, yes.
So when did they officially come over here? When did you actually adopt them officially? How long ago was that?
Not too long ago. So it was finalized actually in November.
Okay.
And
Of last year?
November last year. We did not even know at the time that Andres passed away that he legally no longer had his last name, that his now legal name in Latvia was Evans.
Yes.
And so we didn't know that. They were trying to see if they could get that changed for us, because we're still waiting for the oath ceremony here in the U.S. So we're still waiting for that for Daniel.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, everything. But the adoption's finalized. It's just now to get a passport and some of those other things.
But they've been home with us since,
a couple years.
yes, July
Full-time a couple years.
2021, yes.
Plus all those visits in our home and
yes.
in Latvia. Yeah, they've been very much a part of our lives for a long time.
Yes, and with the internet, we were able to communicate with them all the time also. So we've known these boys since they were 5 and 7, really.
When did Andres get sick?
It was, 2-3 years ago?
Yes, well, we went through the adoption process the first time and it didn't work out. 2 more years, and after those 2 more years, we started the process again. And it takes about 2 years, the process for them to come home. Through the first year, he got sick. So he was 11 years old.
And we discovered it kind of accidentally. Just when video calls, why is his hair gone? I said, Mara, I think he's sick. I think something's going on. And it wasn't something where they would necessarily reveal that to us. So we made the request, could you check and see if there's anything going on with his health.
Was he in chemo? Is that why his hair came
Yeah.
out? Okay.
And so she came back and said that yes, and they said they've never had a case with such a sick child getting adopted.
With this agency. I'm
With this-
sure it
yeah.
has happened in the past, but
Yeah, this was unusual circumstance for them. So we adopted. We went to pick them up a couple years ago. It was in June, so a little over 2 years ago now. And he was supposed to be in remission, but that was according to Latvian standards. He really was not in remission according to U.S. standards. We didn't know that until later.
Okay.
much later, yeah.
Yeah, much later. So he ended up having 2 relapses. He had several months of a good life with his
Yes.
dream of being part of a family where he was active and pain-free, but then this pain started coming. And there we are. This is...
Tell us who everybody is.
Yes, so from the left, we've got Andre, then Mara, then Andres, and Lucas, and then myself, and then my mom,
Yeah.
and then Daniel. We included my mom because she was there for us big
Yes.
time during
The
this
whole
leukemia
time.
journey.
Yes.
She came and lived in our home, helped take boys to school and back. We made a commitment that we are going to try for the other 3 boys to give them as normal of a life as possible,
Right.
because leukemia is can be a very long journey. And Mara stayed with Andres full time. That became her full time focus.
Yes. I lived in hospitals, yeah, for a while.
What was it like?
It was hard. It was very hard. It was sad, you know. Andres, tough little boy, you know, but he went through a lot of pain, a lot of frustration because he wanted to go home.
Yeah.
Since he was 5 years old, he didn't want to go back to Latvia. He wanted to stay with us. He always wants to stay with us. So in the hospital all the time, all he could say is, I want to go home. I want to go home. And then he would see his, you know, brothers would come and go, people visit or video calls, and he wanted to go home. He wanted to go home. That's all he wanted, it was to go home. So it was hard.
Yeah.
And it's a painful process. You know, chemo is difficult.
Yes.
And all the, you know, he had a couple infections and had to have a minor surgery in this infection. And so it was hard. It was very difficult for him. And at the end, he had a bone marrow transplant done. And that is a tough journey for those that have gone through it. Is a very, very tough journey for the person who's sick and the person who's taking care of them. Very, very...
A lot of pain.
enormous, yeah. All the time. All the time.
I want to say, for those that choose to be bone marrow transplants, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for making that commitment. It's not an
Yes.
easy process to donate your bone marrow. And so we were so grateful for that. And the other thing that was a bit of a miracle, we had a insurance catastrophe in terms of how do we deal with this
The
cost?
payment for all that. Yeah.
Yeah, how do we do this without going bankrupt, which we would have, because we were going to make sure that he got every possible care. So what happened is, because they were not legally yet adopted, Latvia is a very unique country in that they let you bring the boys home before the adoption is finalized.
Okay.
So here he was already home with us, and because of that, you can't get any kind of insurance from the government. And the
Or
insurance...
help,
Yeah.
you know, help with,
There's not help for anything.
And insurance won't take pre-existing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
So with the insurance we have as a family, this is a pre-existing condition
Right.
because he had it
Right,
already
correct.
in Latvia. So he fell through the cracks everywhere.
Yeah.
And so I will tell you, our pastor, Pastor Jerry Arnold at Collegedale
Yes.
Community Church, he went to bat for us. And he got a hold of the hospital, talked with the administrators. I've been a pastor and I've never received this kind of pastoral care. It was like, wow. And to the very end, he was there with us in the hospital. This is the funeral home you need to contact. This is the graveyard. This is, where you get a headstone. I mean, he just everything, but he was able to get a letter from us, or for us, from Charity Care at the hospital that covered all of our bills, including the ambulance trips that we ended up with a couple ambulance trips. He had a seizure at home. There were all sorts of things that happened. We did have a few medication bills that we covered initially, but in terms of time in the hospital, it was covered.
Yes,
What a
the
gift.
big bill was a gift. But we did have a lot of expenses. you
Yeah,
know,
there's
but
a lot
not-
of traveling back and forth to Nashville and hotel, and
course.
there were many expenses.
Yes, and the medicine, one hospital would cover, the other wouldn't. So there were, while he was outside the hospital, we had to pay for a lot of things, but we did get help.
Yeah.
We had a friend that knew the boys also
Yeah.
help to pay some bills that we had in hand. So it was, yeah.
I think sometimes you get into that and say, how are we going to survive? We don't
Yeah.
know if there's any path through, and that financial burden can be very heavy.
Yes. Praise the Lord for your
yeah.
pastor and going to bat
Oh,
for you in that.
absolutely.
You have a couple pictures, is that right, of Andres in the hospital?
Yeah, we can show those.
Aww. How
So
long is this before he passed?
not long,
Yeah.
not long with this one, because they intubated him.
Yeah.
Jill, I had an experience when they moved him to pediatric ICU. I was at my work, and Mara called and said they're moving him, and I'm like, what? What's going on? And that was a move from the cancer area of the hospital to this location because of some issues that were developing. And I just was in this state of mind driving to the hospital. I'm like, this is not looking good.
Yeah.
And I see one sign beside the highway, a billboard that somebody had paid for that simply said, trust Jesus.
Oh.
And I'm like, no, I can't right now.
Yeah.
That's not what I need to hear right now. I don't need to hear trust Jesus right now. My kid's dying.
Yeah.
I need to hear that, somehow he's going to be healed. Somehow there's some hope here. I'm not ready to hear this. But I discovered as that journey went on that was exactly the message that I needed. That somehow through all of this pain and this journey that I had to hang on.
Yeah.
And that we all had to hang on. So I'm thankful that somebody paid for that billboard and that my eyes just went right to that. It was the only billboard I even saw going to the hospital. And, really things went downhill from there. We came to the point where the doctors gathered in a room with us, a small room. Our youth pastor was there. Pastor Nate was amazing. Nate Dubbs, he was amazing through this as well. He was there with us, and they said, we are going to induce a coma because there's just nothing more really that we can do now. And the lead doctor was always hopeful, and he was still trying to seek maybe
Amazing.
something. And
Amazing
Laura asked the
doctor.
social worker, have you ever
Amazing
seen someone come back when they've gone this far? And the social worker is no, we've never seen that. But the lead doctor was still holding on to hope. But
Yeah.
we knew this was it. So I said, Pastor Nate, let's go get the brothers and bring them to the hospital to say goodbye. They said we might have 2 hours. And so I called ahead to the school, and we picked the boys up, and they went to the hospital.
Yeah.
What was that like, Andre?
It was scary. Yeah, I remember just I was working on a project with my friends at school, and then it's like, you have to go now, right? The administrator there at the school. And I was like, what's going on? What's wrong? I remember walking out school, and I see my Sabbath school teacher there ready to drive us to the hospital, and I was like, what's going on? And yeah, it's scary.
I just want to say I'm so sorry for y'all's loss.
Thank you.
Death is painful at any age, whether it's a parent or a grandparent, a spouse, but you're not supposed to lose your kids. That's the worst loss there is. I'm so very sorry.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I want to encourage you at home, our 3ABN family, to pray for the Evans family right now. They're just a few months after the loss of their precious son, so lift them up in prayer. And others who are walking through similar valleys of the shadow. Maybe you're going through a time right now and are in that dark place. having laid a kid to rest. Is there any advice? I'm putting you on the spot. Is there any advice you would give for someone walking through that right now?
You know, the way that it made sense to me, and it's different for every person, and that's why giving somebody advice
Okay, maybe
might
that's the
not
wrong
fall
word.
correctly, but I can tell you what worked for me.
Okay,
What
that's
worked
good.
for me is it's very clear that we're in a battle. There's a great controversy, we know that. And there are casualties along the way. And sometimes those casualties happen sooner rather than later. And what I like to say is that Andres lost a battle, but he didn't lose a war.
That's good.
Yeah.
I like that.
He loved Jesus. I mean, there's no question about that.
Yes.
You'll see him again.
Yes. Yes.
Be reunited.
Boy with a big heart that did love Jesus, incredible love for Jesus and for people, you know. He was in the hospital sometimes in so much pain, just laying there, poor thing, and somebody would call and say, hey, how are you? And, well, he would ask how the person is doing.
you
Oh, I
doing?
have a
He would ask
cold.
them
Yeah, he wants to know how they're doing. They say, oh, I have a cold. They said, I'm going to pray for you. He prayed for everybody, you know, and then after they hang up, Mom, let's pray for them. Or if we're praying, Mom, remember to pray for so-and-so.
One of the most beautiful stories to me, what I saw lived out, and Mara saw it way more than I did, but the nurses would come in and he would make a half a heart with one hand, and he would want them to complete it.
And he was full of cords everywhere. There was
everywhere.
something holding it. He could hardly move, you
And
know.
he'd still make that heart, and they would come and finish the heart, and he would take their
Yeah,
hand and kiss
all
their
the
hand.
strength.
So he would kiss the hands of the nurses.
Yes,
And we had a nurse that would
yes.
show up on her day off just to spend time with Andres. And at the funeral,
Yeah, a
doctors,
couple nurses did
there.
that. Yeah, they were amazing. You know, sometimes people have such bad experiences with people in hospital. And it's a mixed, you know, you're dealing with people. People have different personalities. But we were very blessed with all the people that cared for Andres in the hospital, you know. Doctors that were absolutely amazing and went
Broken in tears, doctors.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're like,
Been
wow,
for a
this really
fight.
touched, they must see this all the time, but something about Andres just touched their heart.
Yeah, many of them came to the
Yeah.
memorial. Yeah. So it was.
We have any more pictures of Andres, or that was it?
I think that's it. I think
That's
that's
it,
what we
okay.
have, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We have hundreds and thousands, probably.
Yes.
So those are wonderful to look back at.
Absolutely. I want to stop just now and then we'll transition for World Trafficking Day and Child Impact. You all just got back from Zambia. We want to talk about this, but let's just stop and have a word of prayer.
Yes, thank you.
Holy Father, we just come before you in the name of Jesus, because you're the God of all comfort. You're the God who sees and knows, the God who loves us in the midst of this world of sin that we live in, this world of sickness and suffering and death. And yet there is hope because you are coming again.
Amen.
And right now I just lift up Dr. Tom and Mara, Andre, Daniel, and Lucas. Lord, just wrap your arms around the Evans family right now in a very special way. Lord, and we lift up those right now who are dealing with loss, those who are walking through the valley of the shadow of death. We pray for your comfort. We pray for your peace.
Amen.
We pray for your healing. And Father, if for whatever reason healing is not in the plan, we pray that you would walk with them through this.
Amen.
We thank you for that promise, and we hold on to that. And Lord, we pray for those who are trafficked. We're transitioning now, talking about those who are rescued from trafficking and those who are still enslaved. And God, we pray for those who are alone and without hope, facing death or sexual abuse on a daily basis. God, this world is sinful. We just want you to come.
Amen.
And we want, in the midst of what goes on in this world, we want to do our part to join hands with ministries like Child Impact.
Amen.
And to help those, rescue those, free those who are enslaved and entrapped, and bring them out. And so, Father, we thank you that we have opportunities to do that. it.
Amen.
And we ask this in the precious and holy name of Jesus.
Amen.
Amen.
So talk to us about your trip. You just came back from Riverside Farm Institute, is that right?
Yes, and Anchor, another school as well.
Okay.
That we support in Zambia. Yeah.
Talk to us about that.
Well, this was the first time to be able to take my family, so that's exciting. And our older adopted boy Daniel went as well, so that was super exciting. And we started by visiting our project at Riverside Farm. We sponsor hundreds of kids to go to school there, literally. And but we have a special new project. It's our largest rescue project.
Okay.
And this came about as Craig there from Riverside Farm mentioned to us that girls on the border of Zambia and Zimbabwe are being trafficked. There's truck stops there, truckers come in, and they solicit underage girls into prostitution. And so we had an initial group of, we had indicated that we would support 25 girls initially and to go into a rented dormitory and to begin going to school at Riverside Farm. And immediately requests came, can you take 35? And then a request, can you take one more? She didn't pass the exam, but she went home and studied, and can you take her as well? So we took 36 girls, and so that became the initial group. But last year, around the World Day for Human Trafficking, the funds came in, and it was through a program on 3ABN that a donor saw the video. A donor saw the video and helped to fund that project. So we were able to see the dormitory roof on now. It's just getting finished out to begin the school year, which starts in January there. But we will rescue 100 girls.
Amen.
Yay, praise the Lord.
We were concerned.
Thank you.
Yes, no, thank you so much for making that possible.
Absolutely.
Now,
Yes, thank you.
the expense to get the dorm built and all of that has taken place, and all 36 girls are sponsored
Okay.
by sponsors through Child Impact. But the cost to rescue and operate this program is much higher than our regular sponsorship program.
Yes.
So there's a shortfall there. So part of our concern was, how do we fund 100 girls on an annual basis?
And they live there.
They live there. How do we fund that? So all of them will be sponsored, but we top that fund up with Operation Child Rescue. And so when someone donates to Operation Child Rescue, they're helping these rescue girls be able to go to school. So we were able to meet them for the first time. And oh my goodness, we have some photos of that, but that's coming after another story. So yeah.
Before we jump to that story, I just want to say, if you want to sponsor, and we'll do this throughout this program, but if you want to sponsor and help those girls there in Zambia at Riverside Farm Institute, you can give to Operation Child Rescue. You can go to childimpact.org. So just go on their website right now, childimpact.org, and you can just click on Operation Child Rescue, and you can sponsor. That means that your funds will go specifically to help those kids who are being trafficked.
That's right.
Or they can call. Can they call and
Yes.
sponsor?
Yeah.
And what's the phone number for that?
Yeah, 423-910-0667. Yeah.
That's 423-910-0667. We believe in the ministry of Child Impact. We believe in what they are doing to help rescue. So go to your story. I'm sorry.
Well, I thought maybe we start with the beginning of the trip,
Okay,
which
good.
was quite exciting. I mean, we did go out to Chirendu, where these girls are trafficked, and we went to a couple homes to visit. But on Sabbath, we took a long trip to a village, and I have a couple photos. This is an island in the Kafui River. There we are.
Oh, you're in a canoe.
This is me with Daniel, and this is actually motorized. There's a motor on it, so we
Okay.
didn't have to paddle, thankfully, and there's Mara and Andre together.
Yay.
But let's just take a look. We'll stop with that picture, but let's look at this picture. This is an island in the middle of a river.
Oh.
And the population here is about 200. There are two public buildings on the island. Can you guess what they might be?
I don't know.
Two public buildings. One is the Seventh-day Adventist Church.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, and so a one-day church was built there.
Okay,
And
praise the Lord.
the lady whose church funded the one-day church, she was on this trip with us.
Oh, wow.
And this was her first time to see it, so that was exciting. The second institution or public building is a bar. So you have an Adventist church and a bar. So we want to put them out of business, right?
Yes.
So anyway, about 200 people there, and I think we've got a couple other photos. Yeah, this is how they survive, really, is catching fish, and the fish they catch are very small. So they dry these fish in the sun, and then they eat them, or I think they trade them for maize, probably, because they have maize in their diet as well, which is ground up corn. So anyway, they don't have a lot of resources on this island, and sanitation is a disaster. I mean, because the water table's so high, people just go on the ground. And so, yeah, it's a real challenge. But it was an amazing experience. Next picture, I think, is Andre, actually.
Oh yeah, they had a little game there that I was playing with the marbles and sticks.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, Andre is actually very good at it. But
Yeah.
What's amazing is you're creating a game really out of nothing.
Yes,
I mean,
exactly.
really, just, we say we have to have all this fancy stuff to have a good game, but you're just creating out of just simple things.
yeah. And this is the most remote place I've ever been to, because we took a four-wheel drive ride, four-wheel to get out, and I would say over an hour of that was on gravel, bumpy, slow down.
What a ride.
We were shaking around all over the place. So finally we get to this mud puddle. Well, this mud puddle becomes a stream, and it goes through these, they call it the Kafui Flats, I believe. And it basically is a path through like a marsh, like a swamp.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it's very beautiful. But we were on the boat, with a motorized boat, for about 2 hours before we got actually to this village. We
That's remote.
Yeah, past one other small one that is similar but much smaller. And the children in this village have not had 1 day of education in their entire life.
Right.
So literacy is a challenge. And
Yes.
How many people in that village? do you know?
200,
Oh,
about 200, yeah. So our goal is, we're exploring right now the possibility of starting a school there in the church building. We'll need to set up housing for some teachers to come. And we'll have to help with some kind of sanitation project.
Yeah.
But Jill, I want to show you how challenging poverty is. This story is one of the most unusual I've heard. But there on this island, they had found a teacher who would go there. It was a man teacher. And every evening he was propositioned to sleep with a lady on the island.
Really?
And there was a strategy behind this, which totally blew me away. The husband would have their wife go and proposition him so that if he slept with them, they could fine him so they could make some money.
Oh.
So this pressure just kept up, and he said, look, I can't stay here. So we want
They're that desperate for funds.
Yes, they're
Yeah.
desperate for
Yeah.
money. They, when they don't have,
Right.
People resort to very desperate situations. So our hope is that we can send a couple, or at least a couple of individuals out, and that this, there's a culture that needs to change that way, because the help is wanted, but it can't be sabotaged either.
Correct.
So anyway, we want to approach things the right way and see if we can really help move this forward.
What was it, Mara and Andre, it was your first time in Zambia, is that right?
Yes.
So tell me what your experience was like.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Oh my, yeah. Just the wildlife there, and what I noticed is they're excellent at singing. I remember at Riverside Farms, the leaders there, he mentioned, he's like, I don't know a Zambian who can't sing. Yeah, so
And they all
it was
sing good?
beautiful. Yeah, beautiful like choir music, singing to Jesus, praise music. It was a lot of fun. Also their fruit, it's amazing. It's not all processed like American ones. So I opened up I think they call it nachis, which is like a mandarin orange.
Okay.
Oh my, it's so juicy. It's incredible. Yeah.
We don't have anything that tastes that good in terms of the orange family in the United States.
Yeah.
I think we ate 5 or 6 in a row, almost. It was just like...
It was amazing. It was amazing. Yes. Yeah.
Did you get to spend a lot of time with the kids? I saw you playing the game with the
Yeah.
women, but
Yeah. Getting to know them. Yeah.
what about for you, Mara?
Oh.
The need must be overwhelming.
It is very overwhelming. So the first few days, I would just break down and cry just being in the bus and seeing the kids. I mean, they're happy, there's nothing wrong with having a simple life. In many ways it's very healthy. If you're not abused,
Right.
if you're not hungry and you're sick and you have care, it is not so bad. But the thing is that they're hungry, they're sick,
they're abused, or some of them are.
Yes, and you don't know, you see a kid in the street, they're selling things in the street, so we'll be, in our car, and there are little kids selling stuff, and we stopped one time.
That was incredible. That was
Yeah.
one of the most joyful experiences that I've had,
Right.
probably.
Yes, it was amazing. It was very fun. So we stopped, and they were selling. There's this little fruit
Yeah.
that they sell. What is it? It's a little apples. It tastes like
Sour apple.
Sour apple or
Very
something.
tiny.
They're the size of a cherry. So yeah, so they put in little bags, and they will sell in the street
For 5 kwacha, which is what, 25 cents?
Yeah.
about that. Yeah, a quarter.
Okay.
So there are like, I don't know, 6 kids there, and they're selling, and we stopped and called them over and said, we'll buy everything you have. Everybody, the kids were so excited. They were like
And they got 100
jumping
kwacha.
around.
They got 200 kwacha for all their bags.
Yes,
They couldn't
yes.
believe
So we're just, gave them some money, more than what they were asking for, but they were so excited. And I just remember as we're taking off, this little girl just looking at the van and just jumping up and down, saying, and making faces, and just, you could see that she was so happy. Yeah, it was unbelievable. That was very touching.
Yes.
That made me cry. That innocence. That, it's like I can't believe it. It was amazing.
Mara became very popular because she brought some goodies from Costco with her in little bags, and so everywhere we went, she would hand these out, and so she would
Ridiculous. Just a
be
little treat.
surrounded by kids, and she'd have to say just one. But that was very special.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. The Zambia people are very welcoming.
Yeah.
They're very kind. They're very giving, and they smile, and they're, people aren't paying, and they're laughing, and they're happy. They're very positive,
Yeah.
and very good people. Yeah.
I think we have one more picture of that island, and that is a picture of the church. And I was able to preach
Oh,
there
you're
at Sabbath
speaking
morning.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a lot of people in that church. So
Yes.
Yeah, they're packed in.
yeah, and a lot of
Yes.
kids. So that was exciting to be able to share with them. And
They speak English?
yeah.
Okay. So he's not your translator. That's what I was trying to
Well,
figure out.
he
in the
was
picture.
translating, but yeah,
Okay.
it can be minimal on English.
Okay.
But yeah, you can communicate very well in English across Zambia.
Yes. Yes.
So you got to see the girls, the 100 girls that are there and being.
Well, the first 36.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's we can share a story of that with this next set
Okay,
of photos.
good.
So we went to this border town where the truck stops are at and where the girls get trafficked. So let's maybe show this picture of Mara, and who is that, Mara?
Sarah.
Sarah?
Did Sarah kind of like you, Mara?
Yeah, we liked each other a lot.
Yeah, everywhere Mara went, and Sarah was
Yeah.
there. She'd
Look at
always
that beautiful smile.
come to get her hug.
Beautiful girl.
Yeah. So let's show her. Next photo is Sarah's home. It may be a little hard to see there.
Well, that's not the
Well, this is
home, but
the front yard.
it's behind. Yeah,
Yeah, this-
behind that is her home.
Yeah, so this is our front yard. All those tires are nest for pigeons.
Really?
Yes.
And so the pigeons just come there to this
Swarm.
location, and they have baby pigeons there,
Yeah.
and so they're hatched there. And how the family's surviving is selling 2 pigeons for 50 kwacha.
This is a pigeon hatchery, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, really, they're
Yes,
growing
yes.
them and then they're selling.
Correct.
Yeah, selling them. So a pair of pigeons, it's $2.50.
Yes.
And so this is her family.
That's
So-
their livelihood.
Yeah, so Mara went into the home. Well, yeah, there's something else that happened we'll share in a moment, but Mara went into the home, and it wasn't, and Andre got to go inside the home, and Sarah started to cry, and then her mother started to cry.
I think their lives are very hard. Sarah had a very tough life,
Yeah.
and I think they're embarrassed.
Yeah.
They when people come to see, and the need is so great. Yes.
But how girls end up in the situation where they end up being trafficked, where they need to be rescued, is usually a tragedy happens in the family.
Right.
We met one girl we met, her father is a fisherman, and he walked 2 hours to fish, which is just hard to imagine.
Absolutely.
And one day he got attacked by a crocodile, literally attacked by a crocodile. And he pulled down his pants and showed us his scars, right? You can see where the teeth of the crocodile went in. Quite an incredible story.
And he survived.
He survived it.
He fought really hard.
But now he limps. There's no way he can walk to fish.
Right.
He said, I'm willing to do anything for work. The mom's, cleans clothes for some people, but it's not enough to survive. And so this is how they have daughters, and this is how girls end up in this situation.
Wow.
In Sarah's case, we have a photo here of her brother. Her brother's 44 years old.
Oh.
And he actually was a truck driver, and the family depended on him. You imagine at 44, her parents are older, right?
Of course.
And so he had a stroke and is no longer, he's just immobile there. He's not able to provide for the family anymore. So these are the kind of circumstances where girls end up in trafficking. We do have one more photo that's a positive one of the brother there, and that is receiving a God pod, thanks to Adventist World Radio.
Praise the Lord.
So
Wonderful,
Absolutely. So have good access to that Christian Seventh-day Adventist programming that he can listen to. Yeah. Wow. That's incredible.
But we brought you something from Zambia.
Oh. What's this?
This is it's a wrap that they'll put around their waist.
Like a skirt.
Yeah, like a skirt.
So this is native.
So-
they make it there.
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
What's it called?
I
I
can't
don't.
remember.
Yeah, I don't remember. I don't remember. Too many words to learn. But
Beautiful.
yeah, so they will put, they will have their skirts or whatever clothes they have under, but every
Stand up here.
lady will have a wrap. They're very careful of their knees to keep
cover
their knees
them.
covered. Yes.
Look
yes.
at that.
Things
I
are so
love
dusty,
that.
Yes,
this
keep
is
their
a dust protector.
clothes they're clean.
Can I put it on?
Yes, please. Yes.
how does
See how
it
you go
work?
with it.
So,
What am I supposed
Tamara,
to
go
do?
ahead and give it a try.
let's see if I can
is a-
help you. Let me show you on myself
Okay,
first, and
So
then.
you start in the back.
So yes, so you just put around you. It's almost like putting a towel around your waist.
I like that. Okay.
But so when they teach little kids to do it, they'll say, put your legs apart,
Okay.
because if your legs are together and you do it, sometimes it's hard to walk, right? So they say spread
I
your
can see this.
legs apart a little bit,
And then
you
just
push
wrap it.
this side over here, and they will put this one on
In.
this side,
Okay.
and fix this side, and then they'll fix the shirt, so it looks nice,
Yes.
and then
beautiful.
yeah,
Let's see if
they
it works.
wear.
Let's see how we go.
Yes, let's see. You try now.
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. So it's very simple, but it's
you.
it's
I love
from
that.
Zambia.
How special. Okay, so put my legs
Yes.
apart.
Yeah. And
Put it
do
up.
it as tight as you can, not too, it's as, however you want to do it, but they do hide both ends.
And then
Yeah.
this goes in.
And then they kind of hide that one too
one
under.
goes in.
Yes.
Yay!
That's it. And they do it so quickly, they
I love it.
they're not embarrassed of taking it off. They take it off and they put it back on, but they're so good at it. They just go like this and it's done. It's,
So when we were in this village, when we were in this village there on the border of Zambia and Zimbabwe, they had some shops there. Mar took the girls whose homes we visited.
Okay.
She took them and you bought one for each of the girls. So
yeah,
it was,
they were so happy.
it was very special.
Yeah, because some of them are very simple and not very expensive, and some of them are nicer.
Yeah.
So they saw the nicer ones, right? And they're like, "Wow, this is so beautiful! This is so beautiful!" And it was so. It was like $5 for us.
Wow. Wow.
So
That's
yeah, so they
precious.
each got one there.
But yours was $50. No.
No. Yours were $5.
Okay, that makes me feel better.
Yeah, maybe I paid $7.50, but it was very, very cheap.
Thank
Yeah.
you. I'll cherish that. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
So, do we have 36 girls sponsored there, or we have 100 girls sponsored?
36.
There? Okay, but we need to have 100.
Yes, and so this is the challenge we face because the dorm's built and there's parents that can pay that are wanting to send their kids there. And we said that's not the purpose that we built this dorm for.
Correct.
We've built the dorm for girls that have to be rescued.
Right.
And so we've taken a big leap of faith saying we believe that donors will be generous enough that we can be able to fully fill up the dorm with 100 girls year after year. We don't want to start a project and then stop it.
Correct.
We want to be able to see children, girls graduate and have skills that they leave with to make a living other ways, right? And so, anyway, that's our hope, that we can fill up the full dorm with 100 girls starting in January.
That's wonderful. How much is it to sponsor for one girl for a year?
So our normal sponsorship program, we only have two. We have day students, and they're $32 a month, and then we have boarding students are $45. But the actual cost for these girls is $135 a month.
Okay.
So we still put them in our sponsorship program at the $45, because we don't want to create confusion and have all these different amounts.
So there's a shortfall,
the shortfall comes through Operation Child Rescue.
Got it.
Yeah.
So we want to encourage, we're coming down to the end of the first hour here, but we want to encourage you at home to get involved in reaching out and helping those who can't help themselves, helping those who are disadvantaged or who are in the midst of difficulty or are in the middle of being trafficked right now. So you can go to Child Impact, thank you crew, childimpact.org, and you just click on the button that says Operation Child Rescue. That will help to make up the shortfall for these 100 girls so that they can be there in the school. Or the number is 423-910-0667. That number again for Child Impact is 423-910-0667. My husband Greg and I have the privilege of sponsoring 2 kids from Ethiopia, your project there. And what a tremendous blessing. A little boy and little girl, they're 6 and 7. They're so cute, and what a privilege to be able to know that you're having a small impact in Child Impact, in making an impact around the world. I want to encourage you, don't go anywhere. We have a full second hour coming up in just a moment. Welcome back to our 2-hour live program here. We always love this time that we can spend with you at home. And tonight we're spending it with the Evans family. They are from Child Impact International. We referenced this at the start of the first hour. If you're just joining us, in just a couple weeks on July 30th, it's World Day Against Human Trafficking. We're talking tonight about sensitive topics. We're talking with Dr. Tom Evans, who's the CEO of Child Impact International. They have, of course, they're involved in sponsorship and working with children all over the world. But the focus of tonight's program is their specific initiative, you could say, with Operation Child Rescue, which is working with children all over the world who are trafficked. We have with us Dr. Tom's beautiful wife, Mara, and one of their children, Andre, and we're just so delighted to have you all here. You shared the first hour a personal story of your adoption journey and the death of your son just a few months ago. Thank you for being open and honest and authentic in sharing that. And you're looking to adopt again, and I neglected to talk about that the first hour, so let's talk just a little bit before we jump back into Operation Child Rescue. Talk about your adoption process.
So we initially adopted 2 boys from Latvia, and the older boy, of course, is still with us. He's very healthy and strong. He's a superstar soccer player. But as I mentioned, Mara had wanted to have 10 children, and we're not there yet, even though we sponsor kids through Child Impact as well. But we kind of came back and said, you know what, we should really, so much time, we would have already adopted again had not Andres been sick.
Yeah.
So that was already in our plan, and that consumed all of Mara's time. And so once things settled a little bit, we recognized that we need to get serious about it. We're not getting any younger, and if we're going to have the energy to keep up with kids, we probably better start soon.
Right.
So I've asked them to fast track things this time, and we were submitting paperwork to adopt 2 girls from Bulgaria.
Yay.
The boys requested sisters, younger sisters.
See? Yes. You got enough boys in the family with some girls.
Yes.
So do you know the girls that you're adopting or not yet?
We've never met them,
Okay.
and we're not going to be doing the hosting process this time. We're going straight with the adoption agency.
But we've seen them.
But we've seen them, we have a
Yeah.
profile, we've seen videos.
Yes.
So a 15-year-old and a 9-year-old.
Are they siblings? Like the
Yes.
boy? Oh, they are. Okay.
Yes.
So it looks like, from the best we can tell, that they had some stability in their lives up through a certain age, and then things went wrong. So we don't know yet the full story of what happened, but we're looking forward to welcoming them to our family, hopefully soon.
Absolutely.
Are you working with
Yes.
Project 143 on this as well, or no?
No, that's a hosting program. So, but we're using the same adoption agency, which is CCAI.
Okay.
CCAI.
Yes. Incredible people.
I think you have to look that up and put children with the name when you put CCAI in on a search.
Yes.
But they're an excellent ministry, Christian ministry, and they serve quite a number of countries. We wanted to get a sibling group because it's a little harder for siblings to get adopted together.
Right.
And older children.
And
also.
older sibling groups. And so that's not for everybody, but
Right.
that seems to be something that works for
Yeah.
us.
Yes.
Yeah, because you adopted the siblings Daniel and Andres, and now you're looking at 2 girls. So.
Yes.
Praise
Yes.
the Lord, that's exciting.
One looks just like Mara, I think.
Oh, really?
The youngest one.
Yay!
He thinks yes. I don't know.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that? Are you excited
Yeah,
about
I'm-
having 2 new sisters?
Yeah, I'm really excited. Yeah, I can't wait. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun.
That's awesome. Very fun. Okay,
You
so
gonna drive him to school, Andre?
Oof. Yeah.
That's right. We're gonna need help.
We get some help
graduated,
finally.
yay!
Yeah, I just graduated, so now I'm gonna be going to college. So I'm gonna drop them off at the high school and the elementary school
middle
there,
school.
yeah, whatever. And then I'm gonna go to my classes because the college is like just across the street. So
Yes.
yeah,
Nice. What are you going to be taking in college, speaking of college?
chemistry. Yeah.
Really?
So I want to do all like pre-med stuff. I want to go to med school. Yeah. So I want to be a surgeon. Yeah.
What type of surgeon? Do you know or not
I'm
yet?
not sure yet. I'm thinking maybe neuro or general surgeon. Yeah. I really want to do stuff where I'm able to do like mission trips, and helping people in that way.
That's beautiful. That's a testimony to your parents and how they raised you with seeking others first and ministering to the needs of other people.
Andre's been
Beautiful.
very involved in the Ministry of Child Impact. I couldn't do events without him. So we'll go to an event, and Andre and Daniel too will help me. They'll set up the everything. And,
Yes.
and Andre knows how to interact with people as they come by the booth. So I'll miss him at ASI because school will have already started. He's doing Smart Start. But I would love having his help whenever he can. And he comes in the office and helps sometimes too, volunteers.
Oh, that's great. I love that. I love family ministry, being involved in ministry together.
And Child Impact did something very unusual when they invited me to serve there. They provided some funds so that my family could travel with me sometimes. This was on their initiative. It was quite a blessing. Not a huge amount. We spend far beyond that for the family to go with me, but it's a token support that is very meaningful.
Yeah, praise the Lord. That's really important. Absolutely. Family is important. So we referenced at the beginning of the program and first hour, of course, too, and the start of this hour, about July 30 being World Day Against Human Trafficking. And you've put together a special video. We're going to go and take a look at this video now, which we want to be played in churches, right?
Yes.
On Sabbath, July 29. So set up this video for us. What are we going to see?
Sure. Last year, we raised the funds to build this girls' dormitory, and we began the sponsorship process there at the school with these 36 girls.
In Zambia, Riverside Farm Institute.
Yeah, and so this video is an 8-minute video because we want it to be able, to be shown during a worship service without maybe taking over the whole worship service as a highlight. But we really think it's important to draw attention, awareness, not only awareness, but also the ability to take action, to make a difference when it comes to human trafficking. So this video shares the stories of a couple of the girls that have been involved in human trafficking. And we have tried to put it together in a way where it as appropriate as possible to be able to show to a mixed generation audience in a local church. So after the video shows, we will have a slide that will come up that will give an exclusive phone number to either text or call if you would like to have that video. Additionally, we have a special magazine that we produce that highlights all of our projects, at least shows where they're at on a map, and stories from many of them that can be handed out to church members. And there's a donation envelope right in the middle. Don't miss that part, right? And because we want to make a difference in this area. So anyway, hope you enjoy the video, and it'll be available to be shared.
So the number at the end, before we go to the video, the number at the end, if they call that number, then they can get this video to download to share in their church.
We will provide that. And we want to develop a relationship with those individuals that want to do this, because we have actually a 5-minute video every month for a local church to share.
Nice.
And we're blessed with a videographer that's just incredible, and he knows how to tell a story.
Yep.
And anyway, we don't make appeals in those 5-minute videos. We want them just to be more an awareness.
Story-based.
But this July 30, we definitely make an appeal, because we want it. This is our time of year to raise funds for Operation Child Rescue, to know that we can continue the projects we currently have, and we can grow and add new projects.
Yes.
And so this is the time of year where we make that focus.
And the number at the end will also be able to get the magazines?
Yes,
Okay.
that's for the
So
magazines and the
connected.
videos.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, so let's take a look at that right now.
Hi, my name is Emily. I'm 6 years old. A girl my age was forced to work on the streets and was for sale by her family. Child Impact rescued that girl and many others. So now they are safe, so no one will hurt them.
Hi, my name is Lucia. I'm 12 years old. I'm glad that Child Impact helps girls my age go to school instead of being child brides. I mean, I'm just a kid. I want to go to school and play with my friends, not be someone's wife.
Hi, my name is Amelie. I'm 13 years old. I never have to worry about what I'm going to eat. There is always plenty. Some girls my age sell themselves to truck drivers to provide food for their younger siblings. I'm so happy that Child Impact rescues these girls so they don't have to make that terrible decision.
Hi, my name is Liesel. I'm 15 years old. I don't think that kids my age should already have 1 or 2 babies. I still depend on my parents. I'm not ready to be one. I'm glad Child Impact gives girls my age other options for their life.
Hi, my name is Andre. I'm 17 years old. I learned that anyone working in the sex industry that is under 18 years of age is considered to be trafficked. I choose to say no to pornography. I don't want to fund the exploitation of girls through my actions.
Hi, my name is Genesis. I'm 17 years old and just graduated from high school. My parents sacrificed for me to go to a Christian school, but many children have no one to help. Through sponsorship, many girls rescued by Child Impact can also chase their dreams through education.
Some people find it easier to write and to use a verbal word to tell you what they've been going through. And I would receive 5, 6 papers of this child telling me how she's feeling or what she's gone through. I have one who, she used to stay with her parents. Her mom got depressed. In the process of her getting depressed, her mom requested her auntie to take care of her. But her auntie would request that she should go to the roadside to sell veggies or tomatoes so that they can have something to eat. And she would do this with her cousin. Her cousin started introducing her to truck drivers, and for her, she thought it was just a friendly thing, but eventually she got put into this thing where her cousin would even threaten her to say, if you don't sleep with this person, what I'm going to do to you. And because this girl was scared, she started doing that, and she would sleep with these people. She talked to her mom. Her mom didn't believe her. She talked to her uncles. Her uncles also didn't believe her. So she decided to tell someone else who she felt was going to hear her out. And that was someone from her school. So when she came to her office, she broke down and she was crying. And she said she doesn't feel like she should be in school because of what's been happening to her. And what I read was a child who didn't want to go through all that, but because she was staying under someone's roof and needed help, she got engaged into those things. So a few days ago, I received a letter from one of the girls on Child Impact sponsorship. She wrote about how her mom owes so much money and her mom was going to get arrested. And the loan shark wanted to take away her daughters to cover up the cost for this loan that she was heavily owing. Maybe exchange them with cows and become rich off these two girls, but the mom didn't want that. One of the other girls here on the sponsorship program almost experienced that. So her stepmom took cows and some money and wanted her to get married to a 40-year-old man, and this is someone who's 14. But this girl ran away because she was going through so much at home. She was beaten by her stepmom every single day. She has bruises on her back. She looks like she's lost so much weight from everything she's gone through. She looks like she's actually sick at this point. The stories I get to hear are really sad. Yeah, most of these girls don't deserve what they've. Like, why should someone this young have to suffer this much? Yeah. So we as Child Impact went back to this mom who was owing this big debt and who would work for 4 hours in a day just to get to her salon to at least braid 1 or 2 clients. And we surprised her with a bicycle and also money. She was very emotional about it. She cried and she's very grateful. And her daughter here at the school as well shares her testimony amongst her friends, telling them what Child Impact did and how much it's actually going to change their lives.
As a girl, I need security. Us girls we're very sensitive. We face a lot of dangers out there, rape, we are abused, we are insulted.
And here at Riverside, it's very safe. We eat a lot of food, safe food, clean water, clean everything. I'm even gaining weight. I mean, look at my cheeks.
Child Impact is a very great organization. It's helping a lot of people out there. And I feel like they are sent by God because a lot of children's lives are now going to be changed. Early marriages will stop. And right now, I feel like I'm an angel.
Just want to say thank you to my sponsor. I love you. Take care of yourself and your family. You really mean a lot in my life. You hold a place in my heart. I'm really thankful.
Greetings, friends. I would like to invite you to become part of the rescue party. This is a meaningful way that you can be involved directly in the fight against human trafficking. Several years ago, Child Impact initiated a project entitled Operation Child Rescue. This is where we focus specifically on those children that are the most vulnerable and have been enslaved by the evils of human trafficking. We would now like to invite you to become part of the rescue party by giving a monthly donation to Operation Child Rescue. When you do this, you will receive exclusive updates and you will know when the rescue party is on the move. You can donate by going to childimpact.org, select Operation Child Rescue, and then make your monthly donation, or you can call our office at 423-910-0667. Thank you for standing together with Child Impact to fight against human trafficking.
That's an incredible video. The girl was so precious. She said, look at me and her little cheeks.
And they're shining, weren't they? She looked healthy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tragic. The stories of them, just heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, sometimes I live a sheltered life. You know, you're in your community and you're in your church and you're aware there's need, you're aware there's poverty, but to think about people being sold and being trafficked and being forced into things like that, and this happens daily, hourly, all around the world.
So we have if someone would like to show this video in their local church, we have a slide that we can put up now. It's a special designated phone number there, 423-250-4982. That is directly to request this video. And we also have a magazine that highlights our other projects that will come with that, enough for everyone in the church to get one.
Let's give the number one more time for those on radio, 423-250-4982. So you can call or text, is that
Yes,
correct, to that number right now and say, I want to show that video at my local church on July 29, or I want to get the magazine, and you'll send the magazine to churches so that
Yes.
they can share that as well.
We'll send 50, 100, 200, however many magazines are needed. Our goal is to have 200 churches show the video this year. I think we're somewhere around 160 right now, so maybe this program will push us to the
Yes.
200.
Oh, yeah.
It's a goal we have for this year, so that would be great, and we just want to keep getting the word out.
Yes, absolutely. Well, talk to us. I think you have a little more of the story of one of the girls and with a bike for the mom. So
Yeah, so let's go to that picture of Sharon. This is her mom receiving a bicycle. This is called a buffalo bike. It is very sturdy, but the mom was actually, this debt that's talked about in the video was something that the dad is responsible for. And when the mom was unwilling to sell the girls to pay the dad took off. And so the loan sharks came after the mom because they know where she lives. And so they gave her two options. Either you give us both of your daughters. They wanted the younger daughter now too. You give us both of them, and of course they're going to traffic them and sell them and so on. Or we're going to put you in jail. So neither option, and Sharon was just distraught about this because here she's in school, she's having a better path, a better life for herself, but her family is just about ready to fall to pieces, more than it already had, right? So we decided we checked out the story that Sharon had told Monda, who's the lady in the video, and it was actually the truth. This was really what had happened. And so we provided the bicycle so the mom doesn't have to walk 2 hours to work. She can get there in 20, 25 minutes instead.
That's beautiful.
And it's a road that can be navigated on a bicycle. So that part was important to check out too.
Yes.
And so that will give her more time to earn money to support the family. And then we also gave her the funds to pay off the debt that's owed. It was about $411. Their lives were falling to pieces because of $411. So we didn't want her to be tempted for that money to go somewhere else. And so Mara pulled out some money and said, now this is for you. This is, for you guys to eat and to take care of the family. So, it's just, it's heartbreaking to see how so little can cause such chaos in people's
They would
lives.
have to work their whole lives to pay this debt and never be able to get out of under.
I just can't believe that, $411, and they were going to sell the girls.
The girls.
Well, they would have made more money than that if they'd taken
Right.
the girls.
Of course.
And so they had hoped that she would go that route instead of putting her in jail.
Or even paying the debt. They would prefer to take the girls.
They wanted the girls. Yeah. So the debt kept the girls safe. Her sister's 13 and walks 3 hours to school. So we're told that on these bikes they'll fit 3 or 4 people.
Really?
Yeah. So the daughter will get at least 2 hours of her walk will be cut down by riding with mom on the bike.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
One of the things I like about Child Impact is that you take time to, I call it vet the stories. I don't know what you call it, but you check out the story or check out, can a bike take that route? And it's so important because you, as a donor, as a sponsor, you want to make sure that what you're donating toward, the organization is not just being taken advantage of. You know what I'm saying?
Has to
But
make
you're
sense.
using wisdom and common sense, praying about these decisions. So I applaud that. Good for you. Yeah.
It's important, because the temptation for funds to go somewhere else is great.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's talk about some of the other projects, and I know we'll come back here to Zambia and Riverside Farm Institute because that is the specific focus of our talk tonight. But let's talk about some of the other projects that Operation Child Rescue is involved in, specifically helping with trafficking.
We currently have 16 projects in 12 countries, and as you mentioned earlier, we're leading in this fight against human trafficking in the Adventist Church.
Absolutely.
We have 5 requests currently of other projects that we would like to start, but we can't neglect the ones that we've already started. And so that's why we started this Rescue Party initiative, where people actually give monthly, because that helps us get stability with the projects we already have to know how much we can expand. In September, we opened up project number 17 in Mara's home country.
Oh, really?
Brazil, yes.
Yay!
So Brazil has something called favelas. Mara, I don't know if you can share, what is a favela for those that may not know?
It's a very poor neighborhood where people will build houses, however, and just put bricks together and on top of each other, and it's like the slums.
Yeah, slums.
Yeah. Okay.
Favelas, how safe are they?
They're not. That's where drug dealers are. That's where cartels, drug cartels live. And it's a war zone a lot of times there, shooting and, and it's a lot of drugs, a lot of homelessness in that place with kids living in the street in holes that they find little in their places. Yeah, it can be very stressful to live in a place like that, besides the stress of trying to make a living, trying to feed your children, and then being careful for the danger around you. It is, it's sad.
It's a prime place to be trafficked.
Yes, absolutely.
And for abuse to take place.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So
yes.
We found a very interesting partnership there. There was a church and center of influence that had been built, and Ted Wilson dedicated the center of influence, but it had not been used. Nothing had been opened up. And so it's been built and sitting there for a couple of years, and there's some pressure that's coming, like something needs to happen with this facility. And so ADRA Brazil actually is a partner with us on this project, and they handed us this building and said, you guys go for it. And so we're actually opening up Child Impact Brazil. This will be our first project there. Wow. And it will be an after-school program. Kids go to school 2 different times a day. So the kids that go to school in the morning get the after-school program in the afternoon. Those that go to school in the afternoon come in the morning. So it'll be used all day long. And so that's a brand new project right on the edge of the favelas.
Elementary age or high school age?
It's more the elementary age.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but it's right on the edge of a favela. I had to ask Mara because she heard we were starting a project in the favelas, and she's like, "That's not safe. Whoever's running that project is going to die." And I mean, she was like, "Tom, you need to talk with the people.
Right,
you need to check this out."
Yeah, because some favelas you can go in. You sometimes GPS take people in the wrong spot,
right?
And they don't come out. It can be very, very dangerous.
There's experiences where police will come in and
everywhere.
they'll just shoot the children. And we've heard stories like this. So Mara looked at a map with me, and we'll go down and check it out as well. But obviously a center of influence was built there, so it's felt that this is a place that's safe. But you can get to it. It's on the edge, so you can safely arrive there. But the kids from the favela can come and be able to go there.
So they go to school, the kids in the favela, they're able to go to school?
Yes, Brazil does have public schools
Okay.
everywhere. It's not the safest or the best in many places, but they do. They have schools everywhere.
Wow.
So this is an initial project, and I would say from having been married to a Brazilian and knowing about favelas and having been there, from the time I arrived at Child Impact, I said, we need a project in Brazil. And so Jason on our team, I shared that with him, and he's been looking and checking things out, and he's like, I found one. This is an excellent one. And it's actually someone who's on our team that works in sponsorship. She worked with a young lady in Cambodia who is Brazilian, who wanted to open up in Brazil this type of a ministry. And so that's where the partnership came.
Oh, praise the Lord.
So God put a lot of pieces together for that project to happen. So that's Brazil. I visited recently the Philippines, and I know we have some videos that we're sharing on 3ABN about those experiences, but a real challenge there with child brides. And parents want girls so that they can actually get the dowry.
Oh, wow.
So that's where trafficking comes in, because it's actually to get the dowry for these girls that they push that age younger and younger.
What age are they?
12-year-old. So 12-year-old girls getting married. So there's one girl that I met, interesting connection, because she sent a video to me on Facebook through Messenger, and she said, please look at the video. And it was actually me arriving on a helicopter, because these are mountainous villages. I would pass out if I tried to climb. So they would have to bring me out on the helicopter. But she sent a video of welcoming me to her school, or to her village where she lives. And the interesting thing, the helicopter comes in and it just blows all the welcome signs. And
Right?
they're all looking proper, and then just destroys it. So I got to see it from her perspective, which was very interesting. But she said, I hope that you'll come to sponsor us. And in the message she sent me, and I said, yes, we will sponsor you. And then I sent a picture to Jasper on our team, who lives in the Philippines and who started these jungle schools. And I said, we want to sponsor this girl once she's available in the sponsorship program. Our family wants to sponsor her. And he said, Tom, I got this photo and I had to look twice because this girl was married at 12 years old.
Oh, wow.
And
So she's already a child bride. And
she's already married.
Reaching out.
She's reaching out, can you sponsor me? And she says, I want to be a nurse. And I said, I messaged her back and I said, I understand that you're already married. She said, yes, I'm so younger. And I'm so sad because I want to go to school. I want to be a nurse. And so she's continued a friendship with Mara and I both through social media. And we'll have a video call with her one day and just keep that friendship going, because I think it gives her a little bit of hope. We don't know how much we can do to help her at this point.
That's just what I was going to ask. What can you do?
How do you
Because
untangle
Yeah.
a mess that complicated? And
Right.
we don't want to go in and mess up cultural things in a way that
Then you
keeps us
can't help another
keeps us from
child.
helping her younger siblings or other kids. But we have all these kids in our sponsorship program now. And there are still some kids from the Philippines available to sponsor on our website. But it started as an Operation Child Rescue project. And that's the interesting thing, because we have such a broad education program globally. It's worked very well to sometimes start with rescue and then move it into sponsorship, which helps us then be able to rescue more. So this is very encouraging.
They go hand in glove. I mean, the two, it's an ideal marriage.
Education that way.
Absolutely. Education, sponsorship, rescue, they just go hand in hand.
Yeah. And then, of course, we have a secret project that you know about, but I can't share it on air. This is our most dangerous project. The people who are running it are among a very small number. I don't know if it's 2 hands or maybe a few more, but not much, of Seventh-day Adventists even are in this country.
Wow.
So this is a
very
family.
closed country.
Very closed country. This is a family, and it's very tricky to get money there. We found end arounds. We're now actually probably having to send money. That end around got closed down, and so now we're exploring sending money through Italy to somebody who's from that country so they can send that money onto their country, and because they're a citizen, it won't be picked up. And so these are very sensitive issues. A cell phone has already been confiscated, and nothing was found to incriminate the family at this point. But these are girls.
What's the objective there with it?
Yeah, this is a rescue center. These are girls that are for sale by their families. And it may not be their biological parents. It may be a relative that even doesn't want them around and is putting them out on the street to beg. And they're very, very vulnerable. The youngest girl we've rescued there is 6 years old.
And they're sold into prostitution? They're sold into
They're sold to
child
become part of
marriages?
harems, to become part of a harem. So they may put them as a house, servant until they're a little bit older. But they're being sold for pieces of land. Yeah. No, it's just, this is a project I would love to see in person. It's been well vetted, but we cannot safely go into that country. Yeah, we would lose our lives going there. And those that are doing this project are at risk of losing their lives.
So how do they even find out about the girls? How do they find out about the children?
Word of mouth.
Okay.
Yeah, word of mouth. They hear about, and then they check it out, and we receive the story and say, this is the story. Does this one fit the profile of? We had a mom actually begging us to take her child. She said, this is the only chance my child has is if you take her, and I'm willing to say goodbye forever to do what's best for my kid.
Wow.
Her husband was killed in this country.
Okay.
Yeah. Murdered, yeah.
Yeah, that's really serious.
Yeah. That's a tough one. If you come by the Child Impact booth at any event that we go to, we will share with you what country that is and can give more details.
Right.
We just can't put it in publication or on air.
Is there a certain dollar amount that needs to be paid to rescue each child, or is it different?
It's a little expensive there. Some country, the average price of a slave today is $90.
$90?
$90, yeah. That's average across the world.
I just can't even imagine the worth
Yeah.
of a life. $90.
$90. The children in this country are more around $2,000.
Oh, wow.
So it's a little pricier there.
So is this project, I know you can't disclose information, but is it on the website, like you can sponsor for a closed country, or it's not even listed on the
way
website?
we have it on the map as secret project on the map, all of our projects fall under Operation Child Rescue.
So if you give to Operation Child Rescue, you are giving to this project and giving to any number
one
of the
projects.
almost 17 projects. That address is childimpact.org. Childimpact.org. You just go online and you can donate to Operation Child Rescue, or you can call and donate that way. The number is 423-910-0667. That's 423-910-0667. Do we have time to talk about Colombia a little bit? Because last time you were here, you talked a little bit about that project.
So two of our team members, one that speaks Spanish, fortunately, went to Colombia. There's parts of Colombia that are extremely dangerous. In fact, right now there's a movie that's getting a lot of focus called Sound of Freedom. And that is based out of a rescue that took place, taking down a lot of individuals that were involved in selling girls. Wow. And they were able to rescue 150 girls in that initiative that's highlighted in this movie. But that took place in Colombia. And so we are there already. We have a project in the Amazon jungles, and that is a place where close to 90% of the girls end up abused or involved in prostitution in some way. Why do we call prostitution trafficking? Any girl, as Andre mentioned in the video, that's under 18 years of age is considered to be trafficked.
Absolutely.
And so these are children. They actually rescued 4 children. One of them was a boy, 1 or 2. I wasn't on this trip, but they flew out with these kids.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that were in an extreme difficult situation. And so they're going to be able to continue their education and begin to heal emotionally in a safe place. And so we want to build a safe house in the jungles, and then a dormitory for the kids in a different location where they can pursue their education and come to know Jesus and heal emotionally. So all that's very important. The project's a little complex to explain on video, so we couldn't make it really work in the 8-minute video, but it's in our magazine, highlighted, if people get our magazine. And that's our big project for this year. So we are raising funds like we did for Riverside Farm last year for the girls' dormitory. This is our big project this year. So we're needing a little more than a couple $100,000 to do all of what we want to do there. But it's something we can do in stages. So this is something for maybe a large donor to consider participating. We choose very carefully every year a project that involves some need infrastructure-wise.
Yes.
And so this is our project for this year.
So can someone donate to Operation Child Rescue and it's going to go to that, or no? They need to specifically, how do they differentiate? I want this to go for the project in Colombia.
Yeah, if it's a large donation, please contact us and let us know specifically for Colombia. We have a building fund that we are creating for that. We may end up having to pull some funds from Operation Child Rescue because we're committed. We want this to happen.
Amen.
So it doesn't preclude that might happen, but yeah, that's our goal.
Absolutely.
A very interesting project because they just need the funds to get it started. This is not one that has ongoing operational. They have some businesses that they've started in Colombia.
Oh, that can fund it on a day-to-day basis?
Yes, it's just they don't have the funds to put the infrastructure in place. So that's really cool.
That is.
So we get this up and running and it'll be self-sustaining.
Self-sustaining on its own.
Yeah.
I love that. No, that would be
And we work toward that with all our projects. I mean, in India, they've started a bakery. The girls that have been rescued are running a bakery and a soap making business. And so, yeah, we really try to give them skills as well as help the projects be self-sustaining.
Weren't you starting sewing machine project with Tailoring or something like that? That was a project in Zambia?
We have a couple of those. In Zambia, we do. This is for girls that have been out of school so long that they cannot pass the exam. Part of the attraction of Riverside Farm is the high level of education. They had 2,000 teachers apply for 13 positions.
Oh, wow.
So they have the best of the best, and they can sing. Andre can tell you they can sing. When these teachers sang for church, I mean, the kids were like, woo! I mean, it just went on and on. They loved it. But so they have a very high quality education, but they need to keep the standard high in terms of getting into the school.
Right.
Well, some of these girls that have been out in prostitution haven't studied for a while, and they may have lost some of those academic skills. So we're bringing them in. It's starting this month, our first set of 10 girls.
Yay.
Coming into a tailoring program. A tailoring and tutoring program is what I like to call it, because they're getting tutored to pass the exam. And if they don't pass, they at least have a tailoring skill that they can go and earn a living a different way. So, and we're looking at maybe a school that's nearby that doesn't have that same standard for, you know, for those that may not reach that can still be able to go to school. Yeah, that's the hope.
That.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
And we have a tailoring program other places too. So in the Vizag slum in India, where prostitution is just in broad daylight happening there, for the prostitutes, we offer this tailoring program.
Wow. It's an incredible ministry. To me, the ministry of Child Impact, and specifically Operation Child Rescue, is the hands and feet of Jesus. You know, reaching out, ministering to those who are in need and helping them. What an incredible ministry. At 3ABN, we stand with and support Child Impact in every way that we can, and we know you do at home as well. We'd never tell you what to do with your funds, because only God knows that, but you just go before the Lord and say, is this a project I should be involved in? And if the Lord tells you yes, then we encourage you to be involved in that. We have a few more pictures, I think, in some stories. I don't know if you want to go to that now.
And I think let's go ahead and show the bus. Well, first of all, there's a photo of Mara and I walking with the kids to school. Well, there's the bus.
Here's the bus.
There we
Okay.
go. So you see Child Impact on the back. Their donors through Child Impact funded a bus.
Yay.
I think there's another couple photos here we can just show. There we are, walking to school. So prior to the bus, there's a long road from the highway into where Riverside Farm is located, and the school was only available to the kids that could walk there.
Yeah.
And so this is the bus now that has been purchased by Child Impact to be able to go
so they
further.
Pick up the kids.
Now
and bring
they go
them
out
in.
and so the school initially had capacity for 360 primary age students, so elementary age, right? And we've been able to add more buildings, again through donors supporting that, and now the capacity is up to 720 kids. But they're adding slowly over time, but there's so much poverty in these surrounding communities that there would be no way these kids could walk to school.
Right.
It would be too dangerous, too far, but the bus can go out and bring them in. And so
But those kids, a lot of them already walked 2 hours into the...
you have to get to the bus stop.
Yeah.
Through the countryside.
Yeah.
Not
it's
along the
just-
highway. But
Right. It's just that they can't do the rest of the walk in the...
so they're still walking.
so
They get a lot of
Some of
much
the
danger.
kids that you're picking up on the bus have already walked 2 hours by
yes.
the time the bus
A
picks
lot
them
of them.
That's it, yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah, so they want an education, and these kids are available in our sponsorship program on our website. They're under Zambia, and so there's a lot of kids on there from the Riverside School as well as from Anchor. And I want to just show a couple pictures of that very quickly. This is another school we support in Zambia. I think here we have,
We're
we've
doing
got
some
a
dental
picture.
work?
What's that, Andre?
There's me pulling a tooth for the first time.
You
Yeah.
pulled the tooth?
Yeah.
Good job. Well,
So-
that's amazing.
And Andre said his hands were shaking, but your hands need to shake to pull the tooth out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I was really nervous. Yeah.
This is a little practice for you
Yeah,
as a
a
future
little
surgeon,
practice.
right?
Yeah.
And the boy even liked him still afterwards. So.
Oh yeah, yeah.
This is a boy that came in to be sponsored. We were there when they had kind of open enrollment, trusting that Child Impact is going to find sponsor for these kids. So we have, again, these kids up on so many of these are orphans.
Right.
And you see the parent has come such a long distance walking. And actually many times it's not the parent.
So
The
many.
parent has passed away or both parents have
Yeah.
passed away, and it's a relative who is graciously taking this child in but does not have the resources to feed them or to pay for them to go to
Yes.
school. So they show up at the school Anchor that we support and say, please, can you put, because kids there, when we think dormitory here, we think high school.
Right?
When you think dormitory in the countries we're working in, it's from any age. If these kids don't have parents, they're in a dorm. They're not in an orphanage, but they're in a dorm. And they may be able to go back and visit relatives during the break, but the relative can't afford to take care of them.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow, that's tremendous need. We have a video. I know we're running out of time the second hour, so
Yeah.
let's go to the video to set it up for us first. What are we going to see with this video?
So this video is of the Riverside Farm Primary School, and it really focuses on sponsorship. So we just, that's the core of what Child Impact's involved with. And if we can rescue these kids when they're young, and particularly, I know Mara has a huge passion, if we can train young men how to protect young ladies.
Yes.
So if we can start young, then they can avoid all of this trauma. Now we know God, you know, nothing is wasted with God, and through this pain, God will use these girls in powerful ways. But how much better if we can protect them from that kind of
Prevent and
preventative.
protect.
Yeah, teach
So
the
that's
boys.
through sponsorship, and these kids are from very poor communities, but we wanted to see some of the younger kids and what they're up to.
Absolutely, thank you. Let's go to that right now.
Riverside Farm is an idyllic location. It's right on the Kafui River. There's bananas growing here. It is an oasis, but all around, surrounding Riverside Farm is abject poverty. You go to these villages and you see people gather around a water pump to get water, to be able to carry for miles sometimes so that they can simply have water to drink. You recognize that there's food scarcity, just extreme poverty surrounding all around Riverside. But there's a commitment here to make a difference, to transform these communities, and much of that is done through education. And that's why the schools being located here on this campus, in this oasis, are so important to the surrounding community. The challenge is gaining access to the amazing education that is available at Riverside, because only the students that are within walking distance could actually attend here. And so as we began to assess this challenge, we recognized the importance of being able to provide transportation for children to be able to attend school here.
So we partner with Child Impact on the school bus. It sits 38 people, and it's really great because we have a community that's about 30 minutes away, where children are still walking more than 2 hours to come to get on the bus and get here. If they were to do that without a bus, it just would be out of reach for them completely. It's a community that's very underserved for education. Many of the kids having really no educational opportunity at all.
As I visited the surrounding villages around Riverside Farm, it's very clear that walking from those locations is not a possibility. And yet it's only a 15-minute bus ride. Trying to walk, the distance, the heat, the busy roads, the vulnerabilities that children have, all of these things make it impossible for them to have that as an option. But when we can pick them up at a bus stop, and they can, I rode a bus going to school, and so when we have that option available for them, all of a sudden the possibilities open up in terms of children that have access to this school.
Yeah, so most of the kids that we deal with coming from the community with the bus would either be ending their life out cutting charcoal in the bush, which is really an amazing thing because you're actually doing more work than the calories they can afford to buy. It's just a way to extend life, to live a little longer, but really not a way of sustaining themselves. So they'd either be doing that, or they would be trying to find other ways to raise money, whether that's trafficking or some other way. So because there's just really no opportunity. The only other thing that they are able to do is sell stolen coal from the community, and so it's an interesting opportunity to help.
I really see sponsorship as a entry-level commitment, kind of a minimum threshold that I think every person should consider doing. At $1.06 a day for a child to be able to go to school, to be able to have a meal, this is a minor commitment for most American families or Canadian families or any first world family. That's a minimum kind of commitment that I think any individual should consider. And there's some individuals who say, I can sponsor more than one child, 2 or 5 or 10 or even 30. And if that's a possibility, from my experience of seeing this firsthand and the difference it makes in the life of a child, I want to encourage everybody who's watching this video to consider such a commitment as a minimum way to be involved. We recognize that with so many children needing access to education, that there was an opportunity here to expand the primary school. By adding 5 buildings to the primary school, that's grades 1 through 6, we were able to double the capacity for the number of students who can attend, from 360 students to 720 students. Every child that is able to attend here represents a potential transformation for the community that they've come from, because now they were going to be able to not only go to primary school here, but also to go to secondary school to learn skills that are taught here on Riverside campus that will be able to help transform their families and their villages.
What an incredible ministry. I love that. As I referenced before, Greg and I have the privilege and opportunity to sponsor a couple of kids. And it's life-changing to know, and that's $1.06 a day.
Yeah, that's for a day student.
Yeah, it's
the boarding students aren't much
incredible.
more. They're $45 a month.
Yeah, that is incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This video is one of our 5-minute videos that we make available for local churches to show once a month. So that's an example of that video.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
So talk to us about if someone wants to become involved in sponsorship, in
Yes.
sponsoring children.
Yeah.
Talk to us, how does that work?
Yeah. So the day students are $32 a month, and it's a monthly commitment. Some people get a little confused. Right now we're trying to fix something on our website because the default is for a one-time payment, and it is a monthly commitment, and then $45 a month for a boarding student. About a year and a half ago, we added a meal program to our sponsorship where the day students would get a lunch when they would come to school.
That's good. Is that included in the 32 and the 45? Okay.
It is. The 45, they get everything provided.
Right.
But we discovered, particularly, I have such a heart for Bangladesh after having been there. I went out to one of the we have 30 village schools there that we support, and then we have larger schools as well, but 30 that are just located in the center of small villages. And I found out these kids, they go to school without having had breakfast. They were not getting lunch at school, and they probably would get dinner every other day. And so now they're getting lunch every day. And so that's through sponsorship. So that is super exciting that can happen. So this is why I appeal, if individuals have an ability to sponsor more than one child, that they really consider doing that. We had somebody sponsoring 25 children who had a change in employment. I think they lost a job or were laid off, unfortunately. And that meant all 25 of those kids no longer had a sponsor. We know those things happen.
Yeah.
And we appreciate any support that anyone can give while they can give it. Absolutely, that person made a huge difference while they were sponsoring. But now those 25 kids are available to be sponsored.
Now there's a gap for
Yeah,
those
there's
25.
a gap there.
Yeah.
And we do have individuals that sponsor as many as 30 kids, like I said. So I think that, to me, is a very tangible way, and it's kind of preventative. It's this other side of the rescue component, right? Because these kids, when you start them that young, and they can learn, those things, and the boys can learn how to protect girls and to treat them well. These things can make such a difference.
Oh, absolutely. How many? That's right. How many children do you sponsor?
Right now, it's about 3,500.
Wow.
Yeah. So
every year, 3,500. And how many? Obviously, the world is the limit. But as far as would you like to see? Say for next year, you'd like.
Our goal has been to have 100 kids every month sponsored through Child Impact. We have been doing that since August of last year.
Praise the Lord.
We had one month that was 194.
Yes.
So we're really excited about that. New sponsorships.
Okay.
Those are brand new sponsorships. November was the only month we didn't meet the 100 goal. We were so close in June. We were sitting at 99. And I talk with our board chair every single week, and she said, look, by tomorrow, if you don't get the 100th sponsor, I'll do it. And then a couple hours later, she said, I just did it. She's all in. She sponsors 10 kids already. So, no, 12. She's 12. Yeah, she was at 11, and she finished out the dozen. But yeah, that helped us for June. Otherwise, we would have lost our record there of 100 a month. But we'd like to be higher than that. but it is a time-intensive ministry with sponsorship, because we want to make sure that good communication to the sponsor takes place and they can hear from the child, and there's the profiles and updated pictures and notes that the kids write, and we want to make it very personalized.
Yes.
And but it does make such a big difference for these kids.
Amen. Absolutely. I know our time is almost gone. We have just a few photos left, so let's go to those here.
Okay. All right, this first photo isn't that an incredible home?
It is.
I mean, it's like, build that one for me, you know? When I was at the Anchor, so the Anchor School is our other project in Zambia. When I was there the first time to visit, they said they really want missionaries to come. And so they made a request that we would help support building a missionary house.
So that's the missionary house.
They got a little carried away. You know, this is a beautiful location.
Yes.
We got to stay there, and it's nice.
Yes.
It's very nice.
Yes.
There's a kitchen, there's a living area, there's 3 bedrooms. And I just talked to a young man, I believe he's 19, yesterday on the phone, who is planning to go with one of his friends and serve there for several months. But this is available, and I just want to put this out to the listeners. This is available, short or long, to go and serve. It could be construction, it could be agriculture, it could be teaching. It needs to be a skill that will be helpful there for the project. We can't fund sending people over, but the housing has been provided for them.
What a blessing. So if people want to become involved and go actually to some of these projects, they contact Child Impact?
Send me an email. Send me an email through Child Impact,
Okay. So just go to the Child Impact website, or is there a specific email?
help@childimpact.org.
Okay, there we go. help@childimpact.org. Just email help@childimpact.org if you want to go to one of these projects and want to help out.
Yep.
Okay.
So we have 2 more pictures. Next one here is the group of the 36 Riverside girls. I think most of them are in this photo.
Yeah.
And it was such a blessing to meet them in person.
Yeah.
But the next photo is a very special one to me because my wife's in it. So you see Sarah in the picture in the white shirt.
Yes.
You met her. I don't think Sharon made it into this picture. But there's a girl wearing the orange, okay? After I preached at church on Sabbath, this girl came up to me with, I think, 3 or 4 other girls, the other ones in this photo. And she was a little nervous, but it was clear she was the spokesperson for the group. And finally, she worked up the courage and she said, we want to thank Child Impact for changing our lives.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, all of the videos, all of the events that we attend, all of the stuff we do on the website to try to capture attention and say, please help. These kids need help. I mean, that just came together all in one moment for me, and I'm like, wow, this is so worth it.
Amen.
This is making such a difference. Well, shortly after those girls said that, well, she burst into tears when she said it, and she said, our lives have been tough. And I said, Mara, come. She was talking to some other people. I said, come give these girls hugs. And she just hugged on these girls. But after that, I had a couple of students approach me in a very curious comment. They said, how can we become donors? Students. And I'm like, these were not sponsored students. These are students whose parents can afford to send them to school. And they want to find out on behalf of their family how they can help support their colleagues in school.
Beautiful.
And one girl said to me, I want to give blood. I have lots of blood.
Donate.
I can donate. I can sell my blood.
They're paid to donate. So
that she can help other kids.
What an idea. She found a way. How can
Ready to give her own blood to help. So this just touched my heart in such a deep way.
Love that. I can't believe our time is gone. I wish we had more time to talk, to share stories, to hear what God is doing in and through Child Impact. But Mara, Dr. Tom, and Andre, thank you for coming. Thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we thank you for joining us, for being part of the 3ABN family, and just want to encourage you, as the world's attention is drawn to anti-trafficking and help against human trafficking, just want to encourage you, see what you can do in your community. Become involved in Operation Child Rescue and Child Impact. Reach out, pray for those who are trafficked, and pray that God can help get them out and provide that emotional healing on the other side. Know that we love you and pray for you. We will see you next time.